start the countdown clock, folks. Yes, it's your one and only local newscast, the Linglestown Gazette Morning Update, brought to you by Consolidated Insurance Services, 6109 Jonestown Road. Home, auto, life, business. Mr. David Jones heads up the agency. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Have a big show for you today on Hump Day. Is it Hump Day? I'm losing track. Yes, it's March 14th, 2018. And this particular episode of the Gazette Morning Update is called Neighbors Being Neighborly. So we'll get into that here in just a moment. But first, as is tradition, we'll look at the weather courtesy of Weather Underground and the Linglestown Gazette weather station right here at the beautiful Eubana Gardens section of Lower Paxton Township, right on the edge of the historic village of Linglestown. Right now it's 28 degrees, partly cloudy day expected, a little bit cooler than yesterday because the winds will be blowing. And tonight we're looking at a 27 degree low, mostly clear. So it looks like the effects, the impacts of the latest nor'easter that is ripping up New England and the Boston area are going to be moving out of our area. And of course we weren't impacted at all. Other than just a dusting on the grass, that type of thing. So it looks like we have a pretty good day today if you want to do something outside. And we'll go from there. Let's like to thank Mr. Anthony Cristillo. I like to call him the mayor of Colonial Park, and of course a fine businessman. He owns the Fat Man Clothing Company. And good morning, Susan. Glad to have you aboard. Yes, the Fat Man Clothing Company. Go to your Facebook thing and plug in the Fat Man Clothing Company and check out Anthony's offerings. If you want to order something, contact me because he's still working on his e-commerce site, which doesn't exist at the moment. So there we go. And I'm not going to strike up. I'm not going to get the watchdog out today. There really isn't a huge amount of things going on. Last night, the Lower Paxton Board of Supervisors was in what they call workshop session. Now, I wasn't able to attend or watch that meeting because I was busy attending a neighborly meeting, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I do have all the electronic wizardry in this newsroom set up to capture a replay of that meeting and take a look at it. I know they were talking about branding of the township. We'll see what that's all about, and that's coming about now that the township has a communications director. She is helping them with some of those things, that online presence, the website, the Facebook page, the Nextdoor presence, Nextdoor, whatever. I'm a member of Nextdoor Linglestown, Nextdoor.com. Check it out. And if you need an invitation, let me know. And so that's what's happening on the watchdog end of things. I do want to acknowledge some sponsors. We got a brand new sponsor, a check in hand. I don't have them up and on the site yet because I'm waiting for some artwork. But nevertheless, 105th Legislative District Democratic candidate Eric Epstein is now a sponsor of this fine broadcast and a sponsor of Linglestown Gazette. He's the first candidate to jump on board. We're not going to be getting into the details of the campaign, not going to be providing editorial comments, nothing. But all Linglestown Gazette's going to do is provide a gateway to find out about these candidates. So Mr. Epstein, who's in the Democratic race on May 15th, is on board. So thank you, Eric. Yes, thank you, Susan. There's two people watching. You're one of them. We have another person who's not identified. The other thing, I have a longtime sponsor I want to shout out. Every time you look at Facebook page or the website, you're seeing someone's, it's not my ugly mug, but a fine-looking gentleman. That's Mr. Richard Freeburn of Freeburn, Hamilton. I like to call him the Sevens guy. So they've been a long-time title sponsor of what's going on here in the startup phase of this third iteration of Linglestown Gazette. Okay. You want me to get into that, Susan? Really? Come on. I'm not going to get into the logo and why there's not inclusivity on that. I don't know. I just don't have the answer to that. However, you know, one of my big things is do not be a victim of governmental affairs. You have a voice. You pay tax dollars. You have a vote. You can get involved. So, Susan, I'm going to throw that back at you. If you don't like that logo, let's come up with a new one. Let's come up with a modern logo. I think the logo is a reflection of our 250 years of history here in Lower Paxton Township. 250 years ago, I don't think there was inclusivity when it came to male-female stuff. That's probably your answer. But maybe we need a modern one. We're talking about branding. Branding at the Lower Paxton Township. They have a communications director. Branding. Maybe we need a new brand. Don't you think? Let's see. All right, good. You get an A and a star in my book. Let me get right down here. Susan George Star. You're exactly the kind of person I'm trying to inspire. To move into action. You're taking action, that kind of thing. Time to modernize. Okay. I'm going to have you on as a guest, and we'll talk about this at length in terms of what our logo, what our branding should be, and we'll come up with something for the township. So thanks to Freeburn Hamilton, the Sevens guy, for being a long-time sponsor. And what else I was going to say? I guess one other one I'll shout out about is Homza Chiropractic on Linglestown Road, just outside of the village. I was there yesterday and got straightened out. Now, I don't know if anyone can straighten me out, but I tried. They gave it a shot, and now my power is on. Okay, so that's just a shout out to some of our sponsors, and I'd like to thank again Eric Epstein for jumping on and his bid as he attempts to be. He will be the Democratic nominee, but he's going to be facing some Republican opposition for the seat now held by Republican Representative Ron Marsico. Eric will have competition in the fall. All right, so neighbors being neighborly. What in the heck is that all about? Well, this is what it's all about. Last night I had the opportunity and really the privilege to go to the Mountain View Acres and Friends Crime Watch meeting. Mountain View Acres and Friends Crime Watch meeting. This is a housing development that's pretty much north of Linglestown Road on the southern slope of Blue Mountain. It's pretty much an accumulation of bigger homes, and they've also now included Parkway East residents. You know, you pick up Parkway East, and that takes you, actually over into the Mountain View Acres development. So they met last night for a periodic meeting they have, and that's part of what I'm referring to when I say neighbors being neighborly. They gathered together. They had a police officer, Officer Cook, came and gave them an overview of what's happening with crime, which is almost nil in that particular area of the township. They heard from the Lower Paxton Township Historical Committee, maybe soon to be Commission. They might change their name. That started up. I had a chance to share with them, and then afterwards, I mean, everyone was just gathering, talking with each other, being neighborly. And one of the encouraging things I saw there was two, count them, 2 younger couples that had purchased homes in that section of the township. So it wasn't just a bunch of old fogies. There was actually 2 young couples. I imagine they're both in their 30s, I think. You know, early mid 30s type. But that to me, as a 60-year-old, is young. Okay. So that was great to be participating with that. The other thing, there's 2 other neighbors I want to mention. I've had this hankering for a particular kind of car for a long, long time, and I've let it be known, to people in my circles at St. Thomas Roasters and other places that this is something I really desired. I'm not going to tell you what the type of vehicle it is. I will give you a fake name. How about that? I wanted a modern day VW Bug. That's what I wanted. And I just lusted for one of these things, right? And so people are keeping an eye out, and lo and behold, they found one at Euromotors. Euromotors, they're at 7770 Allentown Boulevard. And I've gone by the place hundreds, if not thousands of times since 1988 when I moved into this community. And I went out and saw Mr. David McConnell, the owner, talked to him about it, and we struck up a deal. But the thing I want to say is this guy is a treasure. I mean, he's just a neighbor who loves cars, and he helps people with their cars. He's not the typical used car salesman, not at all. So he is now one of my new neighbors and my go-to guy when it comes to getting that VW Bug fixed. And so we had neighbors helping me find it, and then now I hooked up with Mr. David McConnell. So that's a great thing. And then I had a need for some banking, and I bank with First National Bank on Allentown Boulevard, and I'm telling you what, that particular office is rocking. They're headed up by Candy Abram, who I worked with yesterday, and recently I worked with Stephanie Elliott, who at some point, I guess February, was Employee of the Month. These people are neighborly too. I mean, they're there to help you out, and they provide excellent service. So I want to give them a shout out for doing that. And I think what's the key to being neighborly? The key to being neighborly is getting out of our homes and going places where our neighbors are at. And there's one last one. I have, and this is really, I almost forgot about this. And this came from the meeting I attended of the Mountain View Acres and Friends Crime Watch. At that meeting, we had two DeSantos. We had Nick DeSanto, who lives on Parkway East in a property that used to be Camp Sertoma. Now it's privately owned, and Nick and his father have purchased properties in that area, and Nick now has a home in that area. And also, Nick's brother Chris was there, who I think is going to be moving into this particular area north of the village. The reason I bring that up is that whenever Nick purchased that property and started developing it, people started all kinds of rumors because things were happening there. People have been using that property like to traipse through it to get to hunting grounds and all this kind of thing, hiking, whatever. So people pretty much had free access to the area when it was a camp, but now that it's privately owned, that's not the case. It is private property now. It had been, but Nick's living there. He has a young family and all that. He doesn't want people traipsing through his yard. But the one thing that happened, he started putting up a fence, and that created all kinds of tension. Some tension in terms of what is he doing. He showed up at the meeting last night at the invitation of the leader, Eileen Kunkel, and just talked to people as a neighbor and told them exactly what he's doing. And the funny thing is, he had heard rumors that people were saying there's going to be a hotel, a casino, hundreds of houses going to fill the slope of the you hear all kinds of rumors. And what is he doing? He has his home and 3 other lots that are subdivided on paper. Nothing's happening. There's no construction. 3 other lots along Parkway East that are on paper, that those lots could be sold and developed as residential properties. But to the north, up the slope, there's nothing happening there. He's actually creating a private nature preserve of sorts, trying to reintroduce, I think, pheasants, he said, trying to create a habitat for wildlife that, I guess, I'm not sure. I'm not into all those things. I'm sorry. It's like wrestling. I'm not into all that kind of stuff. So, That's what he's doing. It's not going to be a casino. It's not going to be hundreds of houses. He was being neighborly, showing up, asking questions. Oh, no, answering questions, folks. So I mean, that's the thing. This is great that we can do this kind of thing, and I just wanted to call these people out. The last note, and I will strike this up if I can get the bumper music. I got to give a tribute to a group of young ladies and their coaches. So can I get this? Here we go. Oh, I got too many things going on here, folks. There we go. All right, yeah. Last night in Berks County, I'm sad to report that the Central Dauphin Lady Rams basketball team took it on the nose. They lost to, and this is the part that gets me, the William Allen Lady Canaries. The mighty Canaries got us last night. The score was 42-39. So with that loss, the Rams bow out of the PIAA state tournament, the 6A division, in the second round. So they made it to the top 16 teams in the state. And bottom line on it is Central Dauphin had a really, really great end of the season, like the last third of the season, and then they took the District 3 crown for the second year in a row, and that is a major achievement. Earlier in the season, they took down the Harrisburg Cougars, which is a major achievement. And they played really well at a tournament in Delaware. But the one thing that sort of nagged them is that if their top scorer, Sam Gress, a junior, a point guard, if she had an off night or got in foul trouble or whatever, just didn't play a major factor in a game, they had a tough time winning. They just were not, they just were not offensively that powerful. So that they were primarily a defensive team. Last night, what happened was in the first half, Sam Gress, again, our key offensive player, got into foul trouble, and that pretty much sent us down a path where it was going to be tough to win. They did play a good second half, but not good enough to get by the Canaries. So with that, we pay tribute to the Lady Rams for a great season. I mean, nothing to sneeze at. When you're the District 3 champions, that is a major accomplishment. That's the second year in a row. And look at this, folks. Coming back next year, Sam Gress will be back for her senior year. And the JV team, under the leadership of Coach Bob Felker, went 15-1. I think that's the record this year. And they apparently have a scorer or two to help complement Sam. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to next year already and see if the Lady Rams can advance further in the state tournament. So, congratulations to the Rams, and we'll strike up our bumper music. And thank you so much for Susan George for interacting with me. That was fun. And I need a director to help me out here. Honestly, that's the case. There we go. I'd like to thank Consolidated Insurance Services for sponsoring our show. We'll see you tomorrow for our big Thursday show. What are we going to be doing? I have no idea. This is Bill Bostic signing off for now. Have a great hump day.